Right, so what I want to do is create this Google button, but that is done with Clerk components. So let me just close the app routed down. At the top level, what I want to do is create a new folder. This is the components folder, like so. And in here, I'm just going to create a file called googlebtn.tsx. So this is our Google component. So it's REFCE, which is essentially our Google button, like so. And then let me save that, and then we can just import this Google button in our sign in page. So let me uncomment this and then import this in like so. So now at the minute we have the sign in with Google button, which is fine, but I want it to look a bit nicer than that. So let's go ahead and do our Google button with Clerk components. So again, with our Google button, this will be a client component. So it depends on what methods you use with Clerk. Some are client, some are server side rendered as well. So let me just save this. So this is the Next.js docs over here, but here I have Clerk component. So it's clerk.com/docs/component, which is essentially what we have. These are the guides for Next.js we have here. But if you scroll down, we have Clerk components. So I want to click overview on this one. So here it says we have UI components that we need and we want to use. So we also have the sign in, sign up, Google One Tap, and all of these components. We will use a few of them in this crash course, such as the user profile, which if we click on is this component over here. We can go back, we can view some more, such as the waitlist, which is essentially a waitlist, and many other ones that we have. So these are the built-in components that we can use, but what we also have is a UI library named Clerk Element, which is this one over here. So this is like Material UI, for example. So in here we have elements, and essentially what I've done is kind of copied what they have in here, but essentially we just need the Google button. So this is how you would use it. If I go into the element which is in beta at the minute, if we click on overview, you can see here are the docs and the GitHub discussion that we have. Why Clerk elements? It's essentially a style guide that we can use. So let me just install this first of all, because then what we can do is actually implement Clerk elements in our app as well. So this will be npmi @clerk/elements, and then all we need to do now is run dev once more. And now what I want to do is import start as clerk from elements common and start as sign in from elements sign in. So this is on the sign in page. We're going to be using the button. So let me just save that. And then what I can do is essentially bring in all of my JSX that I need. So let me paste that in and save. What this essentially does is it has a class name with the Tailwind styles, but the sign in, we have sign in.root, we have clerk.connection, which is essentially extensions of a component within Clerk that we can use. So in this one, it's the Google connection we want. We have SVGs and so on, but then we also have the sign in with Google over here. So what you can do is essentially look at the docs and take a look at how you can implement going forward. Here's some examples of what you want to do. So let me just click on the sign in components. You can see here we have steps such as start, verification steps, and other ones over here. And then there's many examples that you can use. But what we want to do is we want to go into our app over here, and this button now should be re-rendered to the relevant one. So now I'm on 3000 and localhost 3000. So if I press enter and I want to say, let's go into here, then we click sign in to go to our sign in page. And then now we have our Google sign in button over here. So let me click this and you can see it signs us in immediately with Google, and then it shows our homepage with the sign-in information. So if we go into our VS Code at the page level, this section is now showing, which is you are signed in. We are using the user button from Clerk. So let me go into that, which is this one over here and this one in the right as well. We can click here and we can do what we need to do as well. So if we click go to the dashboard, we don't have that page, and we also don't have the go to profile page. But before all of that, what I want to do is create the nav bar over here at the top, and we will do that one next.